Welcome to Los Arcos, Navarra, Spain, in the northeastern part of the country, situated right up against France. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to RCI TV with a special iRacing Wednesday Championship here in the Mazda Cup Series. I'm Jesse Lee, joined by Dan Van Zutphen for the entirety of the championship, with Ash Bibby back behind the cameras. It's the Dream Team back again, and what a dream we have here at Circuito de Navarra here today, starting off a 5-race championship. All the Mazda Cup cars you could ever want and ask for, and a tricky track that not a lot of drivers have a whole lot of practice on is going to lead to a lot of that. Spinning off of these corners, trouble in the braking zones. It's going to be one of those races here today. The weather, not necessarily a problem. It's the traction and the speed of these cars around this fast circuit. Not the full circuit, mind you, that we're racing around here. This is the speed medium circuit that was established when the track was built in 2010. 1.66 miles around, or 2.67 kilometers if you are rather inclined. It is a fast lap. They're going to be turning 1-minute 10s, maybe 1-minute 9s here in qualifying, just underway. 15-minute session with 5 of those gone. Valak currently the quickest with a 1-minute 10.147. I'm going to check in on my co-coms. Dan Van Zutphen, are you with me?
Yeah, I'm most definitely with you, Jesse. As you said, 16 and 19 Mazda MX5s here today on a small, twisty, tricky track. It's, as you said, it's promising for a lot of action. 109s perhaps, we're still in the 110s, but as the track improves and the fuel gets lower and the tires probably get hotter, we might see those 109s. It's a brand new championship here on Wednesday, and you've got to love another Mazda MX5 championship, don't you? Especially on iRacing, especially with so many cars. As I said before, I think we're in for a pretty hectic race, and we're already in for a pretty hectic qualifying with such a short track with so many cars. We'll see some side-by-side action as we are seeing now, and probably a lot of drivers who want to make use of the valuable slipstream, because we do have a few corners here today, Jesse, but we also do have a lot of straights.
Yeah, we certainly do, and the draft may come into play here a little bit. We'll probably touch on that a little bit later on, but this is the Navarra medium circuit, not the full circuit as well. So it's 2.6 kilometers, 8 turns is all they have to navigate, but a couple of straights between T5 and T6, a quite long one, and then T8 down into T1, the pit straight, incredibly long. And you're going to see that a lot, folks. Cars spinning off on their own accord, no contact with other cars. It's something to do with the traction just giving up. No traction control, no real aids going on with these cars that are helping them. It's all horsepower, and they are little cars with little engines, but they do certainly pack a punch. And saw a lot of head scratching of how to get down into the braking zone in turns 1 and 2. I was told that some of the trickiest corners around here are actually probably the most innocuous looking, simply because they don't appear to be much of a challenge, but they are. Turns 2, turns 7 could end up being the problem corners here today.
Yeah, indeed. That's basically because turn 2 is in the middle of a braking zone, especially with these Mazda. I've driven this in the Ray FF1600, and that's already tricky, but especially a Mazda MX5 is quite tricky on the rear end, on entry in a lot of corners, especially when you're going to start trail brake, and you're carrying much more speed in these Mazdas than our 1600. And again, it's not as stable, and of course turn 2 opens up and you try to brake as straight as possible, of course, but when the corner opens up, that normally doesn't really happen. And so, as Jesse says, we are going to probably see a lot of spins, possibly on entry, possibly also on exit, on entry on their own accord, simply because it's just that difficult of a track, and the turns are really difficult to navigate. But with 6 minutes and 37 seconds to go in this qualifying session, the drivers seem to manage well. Some fare better than others, but we're still not down in the 1/9 yet. We of course still have 6 minutes and 20 seconds to go, so that could all change. Felipe here, currently driving the number 9 Mazda, currently in P6. His last lap was a 1:11.2. See if he can improve on that lap. However, he has a very quick Mazda behind him, who is of course profiting from another tow, Jesse.
Yeah, he certainly is. The tow could come into play for some of these cars, and in fact, the time or the running order of qualifying is quite a lot closer than I expected it to be. It's covered by a little less than 1.5 seconds first to last. 20 cars that have taken time. There may be 21, 22 cars that I counted in the paddock, and of course they don't show up on the left-hand side of your screen until they run a valid lap. So I thought I counted 21 cars. It's very possible that there are more than that currently, and somebody hasn't run a lap, but covered by 1.5 seconds. That goes to show you it's a tight track. These cars are all spec cars. There's nothing really that you can get away with. There's some setup tricks that you can do with them a little bit, but this is the order of the day. This is what you're going to see. Think about Roscom taking a spin right there, just trying to carry that extra little bit of speed and can't quite do it, and spinning off of the circuit there for just a moment. And one of those elbows in the racetrack, following a braking zone, or in a braking zone rather, leading up to another turn. That is the order of the day. Mikael Sundstrom just went P2 with a 1:10.186, just off of Valek for the quickest lap at that 10.147. Right behind them, Benjamin Heilman sitting at a 10.2. Jaroslav Roth, the man we call Jersey, right behind him at a 2.8. And it's a 3.2 for Manson in 5th place. Dozal in 6th. Felipe, Macha, Roche, and Conway, the top 10. Martin Lawrence just outside of that. Parrott was up there quite a lot in practice. I don't think they've been able to hit the lap that they would have wanted, Dan, because Parrott was certainly in the top 5 in practice.
Yeah, indeed, and especially as the qualifying comes to a close and you feel like you haven't set up your optimal lap, it's going to get you a little bit nervous, and it's not great for your lap as well, because, well, you're nervous, you are trying to not make any mistakes, and therefore you could either slow yourself down or make a mistake, since you're focusing on not making a mistake. So in a qualifying session, of course, preferably you want to drive your fastest lap as early as possible and improve on that lap, so you don't have the pressure to getting a good lap in. So this is a really great mental game you have in a qualifying session as well. Sure, it's 50 minutes, so if you haven't set a great lap at minute 10, it's fine. And in those Masters, we only have a lap of 1 minute and 10.1. That is the fastest lap so far. So you do have a lot of laps to play with. So it's probably not as much as a mental game as it is on other tracks, but especially if you're Parrott, who just improved, it will definitely eat at you a little bit if you haven't set a great lap. But with 2 minutes and 50 seconds to go, again, the qualifying session is slowly coming to a close. We see that Edwards, he sees a lot of cars, almost, you could say, battling in front. If we would watch your race now, you'd say these cars are battling, but they're not. They're trying to make some profit of each other's slipstream, and Edwards is right at the back of this group, so maybe he can benefit of a little slipstream, improves for a 1:10.6, and that puts him up just in the top 10 in P9, Jesse.
Yeah, that was a really good improvement from Ted Edwards right there, and I was actually talking to Ted Edwards earlier on, and they seemed somewhat confident in today's race. Oh, contact coming into the pit lane right there, and that's not what you want to see, but luckily you're in the right place for it. These cars will be able to come into the pit lane get service to go back out and still run an extra lap. You get within 2 minutes of the end of qualifying. At most racetracks, you go, well, that's it. I can't really get another lap, or maybe I'll get one. You may even get two out there if you're quick entering and exiting the pit lane right here. That's how fast this particular racetrack is, the medium circuit here at Navarra. This racetrack was established in 2010, and since its establishment, it has hosted all sorts of racing, including the Blancpain GT1 Championship. Remember that from back in the day, and also most recently the World Superbike Championship races here. Of course, that on the full circuit. It's hosted all sorts of other things too. I think super truck racing, formulas, and I believe there is a Ferrari Challenge Series that is coming to Circuito de Navarra sometime soon, either this year or next year. But what a fantastic racetrack, and one that we have never had to feature, or never got the opportunity to feature here on RCI TV, but certainly in the north of Spain today, and it's certainly shining, putting on an excellent show for us here in qualifying. The gap still sits at where it was. Valek still on the provisional pole, sharing the front row with Mikael Sundstrom. 4/100ths of a second, just about the difference between first and second. Heilman, Roth the next row. Manson, Dozal has improved up to sixth. Luca Filippi, Parrott, Edwards, Octane now your top 10. And just keeping an eye on the chat as we enter the final stages of qualifying. Andy Cage joined us in chat to cheer on Josh Parrott and Luca Filippi here today. You love to see it. Matthew Malcolm, the Malk in chat, saying that Wednesday champ, let's go, with the great Ash Bibby. Yes, indeed. Ash Bibby back behind the cameras, and you can tell super organized out here today, Dan, you and me, and that's probably because we have Ash back behind the camera and it's not me for once.
Yeah, well, both you could do an awesome job. But I wouldn't do such a good job like you two do. Speaking about our YouTube, we also have a Twitch channel. If you haven't noticed already, you can also watch our stream on Twitch. And if you haven't already, go over on Twitch while we're loading the race now. Now it takes you probably roughly 30 seconds to drop a like or subscribe to our Twitch channel. It would help us out massively on the other end of our streaming platform. Now, Jesse, the race is almost starting to begin. We have two 30-minute races here today, as if we haven't already enough action in this championship as a whole. We do have two 30-minute races, and especially on this Circuito de Navarra in Spain. Again, I'm expecting a lot of chaos or entertainment. Let's keep it on entertainment here today, Jesse.
I think we're going to get a little bit of both. We just had one of the drivers come into the chat. Mikael Sundstrom said the race will be mad, and well, they don't come as impressive as Mikael Sundstrom, so I trust his judgment. He's been around many races. He knows what to expect, and he's expecting chaos. PS UK Esports in chat as well. You love to see that. The support for the race teams, and I can't disagree with the great Mikael Sundstrom. This is probably going to be a chaotic start. Folks, what do we have on tap for you today? Qualifying is done, but there are two 30-minute races to go today. We will not re-qualify, so no matter what happens in race number 1, they will reset for race number 2 where they qualified just now. So what does that mean? You are going to have Jiří Valek as your pole sitter for both of these races. Mikael Sundstrom and Heilman and Roth make up your two front rows. Look to see a lot of movement there. It is easy to have a bad start, even in these lower horsepower cars. I would actually argue it's easier to have a bad start in these cars and get shuffled out of line and get shuffled back versus some other cars that maybe have higher horsepower, because it just hurts you so much. You don't have that extra torque, that extra grunt to make up for it here. You get a bad start, maybe you spin the wheels, you're in the wrong gear, etc., whatever it may be. Maybe you're just a little bit later compared to somebody else. When the lights go green, you could be in 6th place from starting from the front row.
Most definitely, and especially when you make a mistake right at turn 2 or turn 3 in the first couple of real turns you have to manage here, because there's almost no dirty air in these Masters, and they will stay close together, not only at the start, but as the race progresses on as well compared to other classes, you'll find yourself in a bit of a trouble spot if you make a mistake. And so we're definitely going to see some mistakes. We're definitely going to see a lot of close battling, and I'm just hoping we don't go wrecking into turn 1, turn 2 I should say, because turn 1 is basically flat out in these Mazdas MX5s, but it's going to be a hectic start, as it almost always is in these Mazda MX5, and especially on a track we don't really, as Jesse said, we don't really race on too much, almost never raced on. It's going to be a hectic start. Jesse, you take over the start.
Well, here we go. It's 8 turns, and we've already come back around for the race, and they've already gone single file down the pit straight, and that's exactly what you want to be, tucked into the draft. The green flag flies, and Valek out in front of Sundstrom and Heilman, all in single file. Now jockeying for position. Heilman's going to pull out with Roth in tow. Around the outside, looking Mikhail Sundstrom down turn 2. He's going to take it really wide off of the racetrack. You got to be careful. The track is dirty over in that area. Valek still holding off on the lead. A couple of cars jockeying in the background. Roth and Sundstrom now in the throes of fighting each other, with Dozal and Manson in single file behind. Now single file for the lead for Valek, but 2 by 2, or at least 2 wide for the second place position. Heilman fighting nearly contact there as they're all getting as close as they can. The speed salad Mazda MX5 on the inside of Mikhail Sundstrom as they continue to be side by side. Manson and Filippi fighting each other in the background as well. A couple of cars either had a scuffle there on the initial start. Kevin Boss is at the end of the train, or that was deliberate. I'm not sure one way or another. Manson in the other nearly on pace liveried car getting shuffled just a little bit as Luca Filippi will take P6.
Trouble has found itself for both cars in P20 and P21, Kevin Boss and Kemperger. But for now, everyone's going into single file on lap 2 towards turn 1, into turn 2 in a tricky braking zones. Will we see any mistakes from some drives? You can go really wider and get a good exit. That's a dive bomb, but I think that's Barrett there battling with Manson for P7 and P8. We'll see Filippi here. He's currently in P6. Behind him, it's all kicking off for P7 and P8. Filippi chasing that. He can see P1 relatively easier. He's just waiting behind for something to happen. Valek goes defensive. He needs to defend compared to Sundstrom, trying it on the outside, and now he has to watch out for Helmut probably if he can get a good exit. But no, Sundstrom is still there with Valek. Has the inside now that will turn to the outside for the next corner. And what will happen here then? Can Helmut get some profit out of this little battle between these guys? No, it's very close. Oh, and there's
Peter Roche, huge crash into the background. Joe Dalber, Peter Roche involved. Several cars careening, piling into each other off of turn 8. I didn't see exactly what started it, but several cars have crashed as the fight for the lead continues. But here it is, turn 8. How does this go wrong?
Oh.
Completely sideways and around goes the number 1 car of Peter Roche, and that's how Joe Dalber got involved, taking off the nose. It was a single car spin, Dan, that turned into a multi-car pileup.
It had to happen some lap here. We didn't see a lot of mistakes, but a crucial mistake for Peter Roche happened here on the first race in what probably is lap 4 now. But as Jesse explained, we do have another race, so we might be able to get a good result from that one. But the fighting continues here with
still side by side.
Yeah, it's a side by side almost every corner we look into, and that is again Filippi in P7 trying to defend for his life currently, because there are 2 masters that are trying to get to P7. The same counts for a few cars in front there, side by side. I think that's P4 and P5 there, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, no, the battle for P3 is kicking off here with Bellman, Roth, and we do have cars side by side going into turn 1, again into that tricky braking zone. Oh,
and he's done it. Dozal held on to it there. That was as close as you like, and 1 car completely wide there on the track, the 191. But Dozal hangs on to it, just about saves it as they all shuffled up together for a moment. The 191 of Dozal was in 3rd place. They had to give that spot back by virtue of outbraking themselves, and now right back on the back of Roth. Benjamin Heilman's the one that's been shuffled back into this pack, and they fan out 2 and 3 wide. There was some spatial differences had out there in practice going 3 wide in these corners. I was told by several drivers it's possible, and Harry Conway and Martin Lawrence have been involved in an accident. Both of those cars off of the racetrack. Conway's recovered, Martin Lawrence less so. And we'll get a replay and see what's happened. Is there contact here? I didn't see it there. That was as close as you like, though. Oh, it just gets loose and into the path of Harry Conway. Did Martin Lawrence. Martin Lawrence goes for a spin into the wall. Just lost the grip there. Had to walk the car out to the exit of the racetrack, and that's where Harry Conway was. Martin Lawrence has returned to the pit lane. Jordan Daly is in and out of the pit lane as well. Peter Roche is still towing after their crash off of turn 8, as it's all been chaos here in the mid-pack.
It's entertaining, but chaos has indeed found itself to this race, and we've only driven for 5 minutes here, so maybe the race will settle down. We for sure hope not, but a lot has happened in these last 5 minutes as the battles for the top 5 spot still continue. As Hellman trying to overtake Manson or Dolezal for P4 and P5 there, but now he has to probably defend against Barrett. Does he? Hellman stays in P6 there. It's so hard to figure out who's who between all those masters. Approximately 12 masters within 2-3 seconds from each other. It's insane what is going on here today. Parrot again needing to defend from Felipe this time. Yeah, we see Felipe currently trying to defend that position, but we can just see Parrot has the slipstream. It's actually Felipe who has the slipstream, and they go side by side for the lead in this race, coming into turn 3, and that's Sundström who's trying to overtake Farley, but he just couldn't succeed that time.
Dauber and Kempferger had a issue up in turn 6 this lap, and that's dropped them near the back of this pack. In fact, they're the last cars that have not come down pit lane. They were side by side fighting over about 12th or 13th place, and it goes wrong here. And just a huge disagreement of space not given there by Kempferger. Dauber thought that he had right to that space on the outside, and that sends the 46 around. Dauber was able to drive away just a little bit better, of course, not being turned, and that's a disagreement over space, and that kind of goes back to what I was talking about. They were arguing in practice, some of the drivers, over space. I was told that there is space to go 3 wide, but a lot of times they just don't quite line up, and that's exactly what happened there. Just didn't realize that Dauber was still on the outside, no space given, and a spin was handed out there rather unfortunately here. And look at this. This is the lead for the race for the lead, I should say, or the race for nearly the lead. And looks like Sundström took a look there, thought better of it, but the fight for 3rd place still on. Jaroslav Roth, the man we call Jersey, and Dozal still going at it. They get it back single file for the time being, and this is the look from the visor, the helmet cam of Mikael Sundström looking at Valek, your leader, your pole sitter. It looks like Sundström has the quickest lap of the race, and he's going to be down the inside. He's going to be down the inside of turn number 6. The first time we've seen him down the inside. He should be able to convert from this position, and has he done? The camera going away. I think they're still side by side. Yes, Valek still on the inside. He might just be able to hold on to this if he can get clear here in 8. He hasn't done, but he'll get the bigger run. A huge lock and curb from Sundström, and that will hamper his efforts, and he'll have to duck back in line, and they're single file again. Here comes Roth, here comes Jersey, and he's not trying to pass him. Look, he's trying to bump draft Mikael Sundström.
It's all kicking off here in these classic Mazda MX5 races. You love to see it battling from left to right and bump drafting as well, which is insane on these high speeds, especially coming to
wiggle
3. A big wiggle there for Rolf. Will he lose any positions? It doesn't seem so, but he is under attack from Dolezal on the outside, and now he's attacking Sundström again on the inside.
Look at
but
this.
He just can't get his bonnet alongside Mikael Sandstrom, and it's all kicking off here again. Fight for P3. Sandstrom defending now, and Valek will be really happy to see these guys fighting, and it's insane. Every car's battling for P8 to our second of P1. Jesse, it's all kicking off here. I can't keep up. Who's who?
This is incredible. You've got a couple of nearly on pace cars up there. You've got, I wouldn't call them, I'd say friendly cars up there. Sundstrom and Roth will certainly be friendly with each other. They've raced with each other for many years, so there's no real drama there. Cleaning off the windscreen there on the Roth car there as well. That is a thing that you possibly could do if you go through the dirt and all that. So don't know if that's maybe a signal to the driver in front or if that was purposeful, but either way, these cars are so evenly matched, and with these straights, it's just impossible for them to get away from each other. I reckon Mikael Sundstrom and maybe even Jersey in third place has the pace, Dozal as well, to get by Valek, but the problem is Valek has spotted that car so well early in this race. They've not put a wheel wrong, and they've not been able to convert that position even when Mikael had what I thought was the correct side of the racetrack, and they fan out every time they go down into one of these corners. Just absolutely brilliant driving by, what is that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the top 7 in this race are going at it, and they're making it look easy, but we all know it isn't quite that easy. There was a spin about a lap ago. Billy Octane was involved, and I think there was the 147 was involved as well. Billy Octane just spinning there, a couple of cars going around, and that right there, the reason we showed you that is why there are 7 cars that have broken away from this field. Everybody else was held up momentarily. There's 8 cars, in fact, with Parrott. Everybody behind that was held up momentarily by that incident. Dozal's had an incident.
Yeah, Dozal has an incident. He's falling down to P9 now. It's happened in turn 3, I'm quite sure. Yeah, we go side by side with Dozal. Gets touched around by Sundstrom, and that's that's just really unfortunate. And that's a classic Cup car racing incident. Just not enough wiggle room as he's trying to overtake again with, of course, a great rejoin there. And Dolocel now, of course, trying to overtake Mattia on the outside. If he's able to do it, it's quite impressive. It's almost a 90 degrees hairpin. Indeed, a little hip jack, but he seems to make it stick, Jesse. Excuse me, on the inside there. Yes, he has. And that's Manson on the outside again. Very impressive move. And now has a slipstream of the 2 cars ahead in P1 and P2 who seem to be breaking away just by a little bit.
Mikael Sundstrom's lost out massively. He was P2. He's down to 5th on this lap. We didn't quite see how that happened, but he definitely has been shuffled out massively. He's up into 4th now. Oh, that looked a bit scary there as well. As Benjamin Heilman's looking to get really aggressive on the brakes and try and make that decision. Oh, and it's not going to go right for Benjamin Heilman as they get a little bit too aggressive. They try to turn that car down on the inside, and they spin out, and they're already sideways. That's the aggression I was talking about, but down to the inside, tried to gas it up, and the speed salad Mazda just goes around, and that's a common issue. We see that all the time here in these MX5 Cup cars. It's just one of those things, you get it to bound up, and it will not handle the same as if you had the run out of the corner. But now all these groups continue to fight. Ted Edwards and Bard Macha have had a spot of drama up in turn 6 as well. As a matter of fact, there is Bard Macha recovering from that turn 6 incident, and that has dropped our group of 8 out in front to a group of 6. But we'll see what's happened here. This was in the second group, and a tale as old as time, turn 6 being Calamity Corner here today, Dan.
Yeah, indeed. It's a similar incident like the one we saw the day earlier on, and it's just a misjudgment of space, really. You think you maybe passed the car, you have a little bit more room to play around with, and we're almost going 3 wide there, going into turn 1, and it's all everyone scuffling around here for position. Benjamin Hellman again trying to overtake. I think that's Roscom in P13, yeah, and it's Adam Cheek in P12 in the yellow and black back car still battling, still going side by side with Benjamin Hellman. You love to see it. Benjamin Hellman probably doesn't love to see it. He probably wanted to be up there for the fight for the top 3 spots, but it is what it is. Benjamin Hellman now trying to defend from that black and yellow car, but at the same time there is Roscom trying to go on the outside. If he can do it again, it's quite impressive. Oh, a little touch there for both masters, but they still keep it on track, and that means Benjamin Hellman is breaking away a bit, and there is Adam Cheek again losing a bit of ground compared to Chris Rowe, but gaining it all back here. See, doesn't quite have the exit out of the last turn on the track, and he needs to slot back in, Jesse.
And Check and Rowe there going at it, and while we have a brief moment of calm, I say that very tongue-in-cheekily, Scott Lawson joined us in chat. He's been stepped away from racing for a little bit. Well, we hope to see you back on the track soon, buddy, all right? And Fabian Schmedberger just joined us as well. Good evening to you, too. You've missed 15 minutes of race number 1, Mr. Schmedberger, and you've missed absolute chaos here and an excellent race up here at the front. Valek and Roth now leading the charge with Manson and Sundstrom.
Yeah, it's great to see these battles just continue and continue. And oh, that's a bit wide for Roth there in the purple Mazda, or in the pink purple Mazda MX5. That gives the opportunity to Valek to hold that lead just a little longer, but we have both cars of Manson and Parrot behind. Oh, a little wiggle there, but it's all fine so far. But that means the gap gets closer to the cars behind, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars in a battle for P1 now, as they all try to go into T1 as safely as possible. The one other trying to defend their position, and the one other trying to attack their position, and it almost looks like we're going side by side into turn 2 again, side by side into turn 3
Oh, it's a
again.
big send!
Yeah, it's a big send, and a very big send there by Roth, going really wide and losing a position to Sundstrom as well.
Mikael Sundstrom has gone from 5th to 2nd in a couple of laps. That is incredible pace right there. Roth just locking up a little bit. We didn't actually lock up. He just went a little bit deep into the zone. Did not go off of the racetrack, but that gave up that spot to Sundstrom, who's been fighting back. But here goes Roth down the inside again, and the outside should prevail here going through turn 6, and it does. They're single file. Albin Manson continuing to try and work over Roth, and he'll send him back, or try to send him back a position a little bit deep there, but nope, gets it broke up really nice in that purple car for Roth, but the position is surrendered to Manson, so it is a nearly on pace 2-3 right now. Parrott, who we expected to race incredibly well, was really good in practice, is up to 5th place now after struggling in qualifying, finally getting that top 10 starting spot at the end, has now worked themselves into the top 5, and don't look past Luca Filippi, who's also in this battle as well. Roth, though, looks like they're going the wrong way right now.
Yeah, indeed, not fortunate for them, but still 30 minutes left to maybe regain a few spots in this race. This is what we call in the Netherlands trading coins here, because everyone's just constantly changing positions, for P1 as well, but for the back as well, as we can see. Mikael Sundstrom again attacking Valek and the purple Mazda MX5 of Roth, that is, again trying to defend and not getting a great exit, and therefore needing to defend again. And that's Mikael Sundstrom trying to overtake the lead again, going into the last corner on the outside. Does he have the exit speed? He can't really keep it tight enough to keep up with Valek, but he does have the better exit, and that means he probably will be alongside him even maybe before we reach the finish line. And does that give Manson an opportunity to make it 3 wide here, or does he think better of it and help his teammate out by bump drafting? Yes, he does. That maybe will cause Valek to drop even more positions, and now they're going side by side into turn 2 again, side by side going into turn 3 again. Valek trying desperately to hold on to that P1 position, and it's going good so far, but here's the outside for the next corner, and as far as I know, Manson, he's going to bump draft Sundstrom all the way into the next corner, but that's the inside again for Mikael Sundstrom, but we will get a very big braking zone into into the next corner, and it seems that Valek has the inside. Manson trying to make it 3 wide, but thinks better of it. Valek with the absolute send and keeps his P1 for the moment, Jesse. It's again all kicking off here for P1.
How did Valek do that? I have no idea. I thought Sundstrom and Manson had them dead to rights. Yeah. And if I'm Valek there, I am thinking my lucky stars that I survived that, folks. Second and third place, very special. Both of those drivers, Swedish, both of those drivers in this decade have been to the motorsports games and represented their country in the esports sim racing events. Albin went this year, Mikael Sundstrom went a year or two ago. And that's incredible that they're friends off the track as well. Man, there is so much talent out there in Sweden, and they're working together, and somehow Valek able to keep it in P1. It just goes to show you how hard passing is. Sundstrom has had the most practice passing these cars inside the top 5, but just needs to get one more. And what about Manson there? Looked a couple of times like he didn't want to be right behind his buddy, Mikael. And whether he was trying to take the position or not. Oh, look at this dicing here. Roth has rejoined this fray, looking to the inside of Manson for P3. Oh, no! Oh, Mikael Sundstrom's hit the curb. Mikael Sundstrom's hit the curb maybe for the second time today. The car gets completely sideways, and he somehow saves it. He's going to lose a bunch of positions. He's going to go all the way back to P6, maybe P7. It's going to be 6th place. The tail end of the train, but he somehow saved it and potentially saved his race.
That is an incredible save. I've seen a lot of things in sim racing, but that save seemed impossible, and yet Mikael Sundstrom made it work. But because of that, he does need to make it around the outside of, I think that is Rolf currently, or is that Felipe? I think that's Felipe in the number 9 Mazda MX5, but Mikael Sundstrom manages to regain that position. And
there he goes again.
Yeah, now he's back in the chase again, just behind Rolf, just behind that purple Mazda MX5, and let's see if Sundstrom can make his way back up again. But since everyone is roughly on the same pace, it's going to be a bit difficult, and I think we have some breathing space again, Jesse.
Well, maybe if you could call this breathing space. This is the Mazda equivalent of breathing space, yes. I suppose. You could make that argument for it. A lot of painted up race cars here in the Mazda MX5 Cup here on RCI TV, and it looks like Parrott has made a mistake, and that's going to allow the 288 of Roth to get around. Can Mikael Sundstrom size up Parrott in the 141 and go down the inside? He's thinking about it. He's as close as you like, looking, peeking to the inside. Will he actually take it? He pulls out, realizes, nope, it's not on. I can't get beside him. Going to hopefully strand him around the outside, and he does, but he's got to hope that Roth gets clear so that Mikael Sundstrom can get clear. Yeah. And will the 141 have a leg to stand on the outside of the racetrack? Yes, he will. Space afforded to him by Mikael Sundstrom, and it looks like Valek and Manson have a little bit of a gap, the biggest gap we've seen all day, 1.1 seconds, if you can call that a gap, and they are out in front of the field as Roth has cleared Parrott. Sundstrom trying to do the exact same, but this group, they have spread apart before, but if there's one thing we've learned, they will continue to come back together. 8 minutes left, a lot of racing for this top 6 cars to settle this out. Top 6, Luca Filippi, the last car in the train in the 9, and behind them, a little pack of their own, Dozal, Octane by themselves, Heilman and Conway with Ted Edwards, Bart Macha and Adamczyk. Those cars, actually Theobald Roskim's also in that group, in a third group. Speaking of which, this is at the back of the field. Don't tell them that they're racing for not last, because it's just as fierce as it is at the front of the group. Look at these drivers. Joe Dauber, Kevin Boss, Kamferger in it.
Yeah, battling for the wooden spoon for the last positions here. It seems like they're battling for first, as you say, Jesse. Ooh, that's almost a bit of netcode. We looked at there for these. Yeah, thank goodness it wasn't for Joey Dauber and Kevin Boss, Boss now having the slipstream, benefiting of it, and Joey Dauber tucking right behind Kevin Boss again. It almost seems like he has an issue with the straight line speed, given he loses so much to Kevin Bos as well. Not sure what's going on there, or maybe he's just keeping his distance. He seems to manage to regain it all back in the braking zone. Joey Dabbers, and there's Kemprager around in the Mazda MX5 right after turn 3, a bricky braking zone, and Kemprager finds out why.
Yeah, the same time that was happening to Kemprager, Billy Octane's had a similar fate, and I do worry that maybe he was trying to do an overtake, got on a curb. That seems to be the order of the day, but we're going to see it right here. Billy Octane on the inside in the speed juice car. Nope, just gets turned there.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, no space afforded Billy Octane into the Armco, and that will frustrate the Estonian driver surely. I'm not exactly sure what happened. That looked like an argument that went wrong. I don't know exactly what the miscommunication was, because that wasn't even them exiting the corner, Dan. They looked like they were both headed straight, so your guess is as good as mine what actually happened there.
Yeah, this reminds me a lot of the Checo Perez and Carlos Sainz's incident in Baku, because it seems like they're both going straight, but they're obviously not, and it seems like they both didn't realize that until it was too late and a collision was created there. And we've seen a lot of misjudgment in space here today in the Mazda MX5 race, as Manson again trying to overtake Valek on the outside, but we've seen that is really difficult to do, and as a result of this he does get a better exit. He does make it alongside Valek, but now Rolf is right in their slipstream. Will he make it 3 wide? I don't think he will. He might be able to bump draft Valek right into that P1 spot again, and as a result of that, maybe Manson on the outside of the corner now will lose some position. Rolf is looking on the inside for P1 there, but things better off it, and that's Manson getting pushed wide a little bit. Currently is P2 has the inside of the next corner, which is flat out, so I don't expect Rolf to lose a lot. But look at Mikael Sundström again, had a little moment, a big moment earlier in this race, and now he's back with his teammate for the fight for P1 again.
This is incredible. Bart Macha's just had an incident in turn 3. Is it a curb incident? Yes, it is. Just goes a little bit wide, turns themselves off of one of the speed juice cars, or was that Harry Conway, I think, maybe, that he had contact with there. That's a very common incident to have. And it's gone wrong up at the front. Manson and Roth have turned each other. There's huge calamity for second and third place. That will promote Mikael Sundström back up to P2. This is the incident for P2, and he just overcooks it, does Roth, and spins off of the 127's nose. Manson has nowhere to go, has to do a successful pit maneuver, and loses all of that time. Mikael Sundström, for the second time today, goes back to P2.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane, these Mazda MX5 races. The entertainment they bring and the outcomes they bring as well. Because we know it was going to be hard for Sundström, but he made a mistake. He's back into it now, and he can actually win the race, which is remarkable. And I wanted to say as well, it's remarkable the guys up in the front has kept it clean for such a long time. But maybe with almost 4 minutes to go at that time, it was inevitable for such incidents to happen. Inevitable for this fight to continue as well, as Kevin Bos is trying to overtake Jordan Daly here. The Dutchman and the Englishman going on each other again. Joey Dabber again in P18, also trying to get up a few positions. As I said, purely battling for the wooden spoon, but they make it seem like they're battling for the top position here, as Kevin Bos pulls out of the slipstream of Jordan Daly, but can't quite get late enough on the brakes. As a result, he might even need to fend off Joey Dabber. Dabber goes to the outside, trying maybe to get a better exit, or just to simply return in the slipstream of Kevin Bos. And it seems like this, as far as Mazda MX5 races go, again, this just for a moment, Vettel has found a little bit of a breathing air, but Kevin Bos now in the slipstream of Jordan Daly. Will we see an attempt for gaining a position for Kevin Bos here up to P16? The slipstream really powerful in these Mazda MX5. Has to choose the outside.
Bump draft right there.
Jordan Daly will probably distract Jordan Daly in the braking zone as well. but Kevin Boss just can't quite get his nose in on the inside of Jordan Daly, and so this fight remains yet to be settled.
I can see those drivers. They're in a chat together, and I would reckon Jordan Daly, being the Christian racing driver he is, said, God bless you for that bump draft into turn 2, a very sketchy part of Navarra race circuit here. Boss still trying to make it work down on the inside. He's going to get over the curb. There might be a little contact, and it will be, and it's going to be chaos again. The curb playing no favorites here today. Boss this time taking the spin off of Jordan Daly's nose. That will release Joe Dauber into the wild. Joe will say thank you very, very much indeed. Let's recycle you to the lead of the race. Valek has led the majority, if not the entirety of this race. He's been under constant threat, and most of the time it has been Mikael Sundstrom. But Mikael Sundstrom has been a journeyman driver here today. He's been as far down as 6th and as far down as 5th. He's done that twice, a little door banging right there, but he's never had the lead, has the Swede Mikael Sundstrom. A little bit wide there by Valek that time. Is this the run that Mikael Sundstrom needed? Don't look past Joshua Parrott. 1.2 seconds the gap behind these two. If they get into trouble, Joshua Parrott would be in the correct position to win this thing. This may be as close as they've ever been. 20-some seconds. We're going to get one more lap. We're going to go around one more time here in race 1 at Navarra for the MX5 Cup. Race 1. Parrott, Filippi, Manson, the top 5 all sort of in this group together. Finally, is it clear for Mikael Sundstrom down into turns 1 and 2? He might be, he could be, he isn't. He's door, he's in the bumper, and he's clear. Mikael Sundstrom has finally done it. The retaliation from Valek, looking to the outside, looking to the inside of turns 4 and 5. Can he get a run up into 6? We'll see this time. A compromised exit from Sundstrom. Down to the inside is Valek. Has he shown his hand a little bit too early? Sundstrom goes defensive.
He needs to do it all around the outside on this very last lap, but it's a risk he needs to take. Valek, a great send on the outside. Can he get the traction down early
He's still
enough?
there?
He's still there. He is still with his nose on the inside now for the next corner, and that inside turns to the outside for Valek, but he's almost completely ahead
here it is!
of the next
The run to the
corner.
flag!
It's going down for the exit speed. Valek has a great exit. There's a better exit. It's going to be Valek who takes the first victory in his first ever Master Wednesday Championship. Or am I saying this wrong?
No!
Because
Oh!
out of
Oh!
Sundstrom takes it. Doesn't he? It's Valek.
No.
It's Valek.
Jiri Valek wins race number 1 here on the RCI Mazda MX5 Cup. It's a dead heat on our timing and scoring, but replay will confirm that Jiri Valek has won the race by less than 1/10 of a second over Mikael Sundstrom. Joshua Parrott 3rd, Luca Filippi 4th, Manson the top 5, Roth, Dozal, Heilman, Roscom, Conway the top 10, Adamczyk, Edwards, Macha, Octane, Rowe, Dauber, Daly, and Boss, your finishers from race number 1. Everybody collectively breathe, because that's race 1 of 2. We are not done. We're gonna re-rack them, and we're gonna do it all again right here on RCI TV. Dan, how on earth did they make it around? How on earth did Valek beat Sundstrom? And how do we do it again? Can we do it again? I want to do it again. That was fun.
Especially with the company of Ash Bibby here today. We'll do it again, I'm sure of it. But there was a race. I can't quite, but and it kind of was written in the stars, wasn't it? A Master MX5 race on a short track with just no wiggle room for any room we saw here today, and at the same time a lot of room to battle each other, and a photo finish in our first race. I cannot believe how tight that gap was. I for sure thought Valek was going to take that, but Sundstrom had the side draft, and for the ones who don't know, that is a thing. You can get some slipstream of the side of the car next to you, and it was insane how powerful the slipstream was for that photo finish. But apart from the photo finish, we have had an incredible first race. My throat is probably going to be very sore tomorrow, maybe by the next hour as well. I really do need to build a sink here next to my room purely to get more water for my throat. It's honestly incredible, these Mazda MX5 races. They're great entertainment. They're great entertainment for the drivers as well, but my throat isn't enjoying it as much.
Yeah, I know what you mean. My vocal cords are going to be screaming. People are going to be asking, what's wrong with you? How'd you lose your voice? So let me tell you about a little racetrack in the north of Spain. All right, let me tell you about that because this place has put on a show, folks. Officially, Valak, you're a winner of race number 1 by less than a tenth of a second. We don't have an actual finish delta for you because it was that close, but I will say, we don't get to say this much here on RCI TV, but all results that are photo finishes are independently confirmed. And because our broadcaster, Ash Bibby, is not in the race, he is an independent adjudicator, and our eyes seem to say that Valak was in front only just by less than a tenth of a second. But of course, that is subject to official independent adjudication after the weekend is complete. But for my eyes, Valak was in front by a nose of an MX5 and only just. I'm going to take the guess that it was less than half of a tenth of a second. So 5/100ths or 5/100ths or less of a second was the margin of victory there for Valak over Mikael Sundstrom. What a race that was. Absolutely insane. And I have no reason to believe that race 2 is going to be any different than that. Fabian Schmidberger losing his mind in the chat for that finish. Are you not entertained, people? That was as good as it was ever going to be. So many cars involved. We might as well have been at a super speedway for all that's worth. Joe Dauber confirming that they ran that entire race with significant wheel damage. And considering they ended up making up 2 spots in the last couple laps, I mean, that's profit right there, but unfortunate that occurred, and that's something you have to avoid. But my goodness. All right, Dan, I'm going to ask you the serious question.
Oh, God.
They've had a look at it. They're a little bit more familiar with Circuit de Navarra here in Spain. You think they've got a handle on it, and what do you do differently if you're Mikael Sundstrom, if you're Jersey, if you're Benjamin Heilman, who was up there early in the race? What do you do differently this time to keep yourself in it right there at the end to give yourself a shot?
Is there anything you can do differently? Because, of course, you go off your own knowledge. And it depends on which spot you're in. And especially with these Mazda MX5, you need to pick exactly the time, on exactly the right time, for exactly to be in the right spot to attack. If you don't, you're going to lose another position, maybe in the last lap. If that means you're back into 4th or back into 3rd, you're screwed. It basically comes down to all the decisions you make from second 1, which is very hard. So you have to look basically into the future, which is impossible. And yeah, as a race car driver, I don't think you do anything differently. Maybe watch your throttle a bit more. Maybe, especially because it's the second race now, I guess some people are going to be a bit more just don't be aggressive as much, because of course when you retire in the first race, there's always the second race. When you retire in the second race, there's not a third race. So maybe not go for ambitious overtake as much as you would do in the first race, but I don't think there's much you can do different, purely for the fact that it's going to be close anyway. If it's the first race, if it's the second race, if it's the first race, you just have to navigate the spot you're in, the spot you'll find yourselves in the moment you're at. This is really a moment race instead of like an endurance race where you've got to think ahead of the things you'll do later on in the race, but you really race in the moment. Yes, you do have to keep an eye on the later stage of the race, but you're really doing everything you can. And I think the only thing you can make the difference for the victory is when you're P2 P2 has the most chance of victory here at the last lap, which sounds strange, but P2 can perfectly position themselves in the laps before as well. So you might ask yourself, do I want to be in P2 in the next lap? Do I want to be P1? Do I want to be P1 in the next corner? Because as far as I know, if I'm battling for P1 and I'm trying to get that victory, I'll overtake the car on the last possible moment, which is probably the last corner. But to come back on your point, Jesse, no, I don't think I would do anything different. I would just stay in the moment and try to figure it out, because that's all you can do.
Well, I'm being told that I was incorrect in that this is a reverse order grid race. So it's in reverse order of where you finished race number 1. So Jiri Valek, the Czech driver who clearly has ice water in his veins and has won race number 1, will start shotgun on the field, dead last. Peter Roche, who was the first car to DNF, will be on pole position. Martin Lawrence will start outside pole. Kamferger, Boss, Daly, Daubert, Rowe, Octane, Macha, and Edwards, the top 10. Adamczyk, Conway, Roscom, Heilman, Dozal, Roth, Manson, Felipe, Parrott, Sundstrom, Valek. That is how they'll line up. So it's reverse grid. I didn't have that in my notes. I do apologize for that. But this is a reverse grid race number 2. So not reverse of where they qualified, reverse of where they finished race number 1. So now that changes everything. And if you are a Sundstrom, Valek, Parrott, Felipe, you have a lot of work to do. But you got to be feeling pretty good if you're a Jaroslav Roth, who was really good in that race and just had a little bit of a mistake. But here they are on the front straight, automatically going single file, the green flag waving from the flag stand. And we are green for race number 2 for round 1 here at Navarra for the Mazda Cup. And it's a clean getaway for Peter Roche. Roche, who is no stranger to iRacing. Roche, who is no stranger to doing well in winning these kinds of races, will lead us off here. Just was unfortunate in race number 1 to be involved in that very first accident. Martin Lawrence, who has shown himself very adept, actually, spoilers, won the Monday Championship Porsche Cup race. Oh, and it's a big crash. Harry Conley gets spun. Bard Macha goes hard into the wall. I don't know who started that. Dozal in the 191 also involved. Huge rear suspension damage there for Bard Macha, and that's going to be an immediate retirement. They're 2 wide, they're 3 wide. It's a pinch. 3 into 1 doesn't go, and they all go scattering and clattering away. Ted Edwards involved, also towing Dozal. All 3 of those cars, the 191, the 8, and the 5, all in the pit lane. Theobald Roscom has driven back to the pit lane, but also involved in that incident.
It had to happen, such an incident had to happen sometime in this race. You can see Benjamin Hellman literally almost limping over the straight here, but that was just a simple misjudgment of space. We've seen this incident in F1 all of the time, and this was another example of it, a misjudgment of space between 3 cars, and that's an incident you can get yourself involved in, or easily happens to you if just one car has to misjudge the space. It starts with 1 car, and 1 car can be the doom of other cars as well. And if we hadn't already had enough. Oh, that's the car off the road. That's Kevin Bols there. I have no idea what happened there.
Just locked up
possibly. And yeah, that's interesting. And this is a replay of
we are under we're under safety car, aren't we?
Is that a thing in iRacing? Really?
I think we're under safety car. That's exactly what's happened here. Our event manager, Tom Bryant, has activated the safety car. That incident was big enough that it has led to the safety car coming out here at Navarra, and I thought that it must have been turned off because there were a couple of decent incidents there for race number 1, but none of which were quite big enough, and come to think of it, a lot of them self-cleared off of the racetrack, and that might have had something to do with it. But a couple of cars are taking this time to come down pit lane. Jaroslav Roth is in the pit lane. Harry Conway is in the pit lane. as well. We're going to show you why we're under safety car 3-1. Look at the white cars in the middle here, and they're all going to come together. That was a huge crash.
Oh, and another one.
Yeah, there was. That was a secondary crash. That was where Theobald Roscom got involved as well in the secondary incident, and that was probably why
Ouch.
Ted Edwards was also in the pit lane, or maybe that was Conway in that one, but either way, they were all involved, and that's what brought out the caution here under safety car for the first time in the MX5 Cup. And I didn't know that the safety car was available, but it is, and it has been out. So we'll see a couple of laps under safety car, just long enough for me to tell you about our lovely partners. AK Esports, for more on how they can help you with your server solutions and esports hosting, go to akesports.it. They're a huge help for us. We certainly cannot do it without them. So thank you, AK Esports. Go Setups. I know a couple of drivers that wish they had a Go Setup out here today, but for all your ACC setup needs, Go Setups. I know more than a few drivers were using Go Setups on the Monday Porsche Cup Championship and had excellent results. Moser Racing, top of the line equipment that will not break the bank. All the direct drive hardware, wheel and pedal sets you could ever want at Moser Racing. Go check them out on their website. And of course, we are a Motorsports UK recommended community. And I recommend that Motorsports UK go back and watch the finish of round number 1. That was absolutely incredible. What was a thrilling finish has led to a somber start to this race, where we've had 4 cars taken out, some of which have retired. Dozal has retired from the race. Bardmacha, Ted Edwards, Harry Conway, and Roth are all exiting the pit lane, so they will get those cars repaired and rejoined. About Roscom, as well as we continue to see. Yep, so that was what I thought. That was Ted Edwards there involved, and that's Dozal, I believe, that we're watching currently. So the first incident was Conway, Roscom, and Macha. The second incident was Edwards and Dozal. So those 5 cars led to the safety car coming out, and they will reline up. And I can't quite see, we're a little bit too far away to see if the lights are off in the safety car, but here it is one more time from a zoomed in angle. It's going to be 3-1 and just get pinched. You don't expect the cars to come together like that, and they just didn't see the car in the middle. And you can argue whose fault that is. I will not, because that's not my job. It was just an accident. 3-1 doesn't go. I do find it interesting, Dan. Jaroslav Roth, Jersey came into pit lane from the top 5. Why would you do that?
That's a very good question. Probably because he has damaged himself. That's the only explanation I could give it. Yeah, well, you know, it's not an F1 race where you have to change tires, you know. But he made the decision and he made profit. Let's see, maybe it works. Would be interesting. And if we had
laps newer tires, is it worth it, do you think? You've done this before, you tell me.
In iRacing, I don't think so. In iRacing, you could easily drive a race with tires that would last up to an hour. So, no, I would not see any reason to pit, but it's not my race here today. Maybe he had damage or some other sorts of issue, but we are going to restart the race again.
Re-rack 'em, boys! Well, we are lining up. We're going to do it again. A couple of cars have been down the pit lane. We started with 21. There's still 20 cars out there on the racetrack. Billy Octane has towed back to the pit lane. Don't know what's happened there on the 33, but we're green again. They lined up 2 by 2 around turn 8, and we are away. Peter Roche will lead them. It was a not great start for Martin Lawrence. Jordan Daly creeping up into the picture there with Kamferger and Kevin Boss. Kamferger is going to go off into the inside. He's going to hit the inside wall. You can only hope that he doesn't come back onto the racetrack, and I don't think he has. It's a single car spin. I wonder if he got punted. He's still recovering in the grass, but no further incident. Ted Edwards has spun around in the background. Let's see. Is it contact with Edwards here?
Jordan Daly,
yes,
I think.
there is. No, that's Ted Edwards.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no, is that Jordan Daly? I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking at anymore, to be fair. That was Ted Edwards in the red and black race Ventura car, I'm being told by our lovely broadcaster, eagle-eyed viewer as well, Ash Bibby. We're going to see that again. This is after the fact. This is Ted Edwards. He was also, something happened to him. He was showing up as a yellow flag. Oh, it might have been Daly. Okay, so there's 2 red and black cars out there. It is hard to understand whenever they're all sort of the same car. So new incident also happened here. A huge spin as Albin Manson has been spun off into the dirt. Luckily didn't make it to the wall, but that is inauspicious to say the very least. Down to 16th.
It's a classic incident we see here in the Master Racing, especially on the circuit. Maybe it's something of the circuit. Maybe we'll see this such incident more often in this Master MX5 Cup. But if we hadn't had enough entertainment by now already, we had a reverse grid, a great first race, and now we had a safety car as well, which brings the field even closer with 21 minutes to go.
Out there
yeah, I hope so.
Are playing bingo. You're getting a lot of. By the way, Dan, you are 100% correct. That was Jordan Daly in that incident as well. They're both in Race Ventura cars. Team cars painted up 3 wide here into turn number 6. Can they make it through here without incident? Yes, they can, and they're going to still be just about 3 wide as they head into turn 7. They get it down to 2 wide. And cars scattering just a little bit. Joe Dauber has been involved in a huge incident. I don't think he made it to the wall, but well off the racetrack. He'll go all the way down to about 15th place. Let's see. Is there contact with Dauber that leads to this? I bet there is. Yes, there is. Another pit maneuver off into the dirt. And Dan Van Zutphen, he's not having it. He's over it.
Yeah, that was definitely a classic netcode by iRacing, which you are probably expecting here as we go 2-3 wide.
Look at this.
Into turn 3, 1, 2, 3.
3 wide.
Going 2 wide, 3 wide there on the exit of turn 3 here, coming into turn 4 there. They think better of it. They now not go into Oh, there's a big wiggle there for a car, for a Mazda MX-5 in the background there, but they all make it seem unscattered. They all make it come out unscattered. And my English is spot on today, but they are still battling here on this circuit in Navarra. 3 wide in the braking zone. It's insane. Cars on the outside, cars on the inside. It's all kicking off here today as Sundstrom is trying to make his way up in the field. Felipe is trying to make his way up in the field. Kevin Bos is trying to defend his position for his life to Felipe. Felipe now has the inside. Sundstrom also has the inside. Who has the better exit? It's probably going to be the guys on the outside lane. And back they head into turn 1. We've had a lap of chaos, not so many drama, but we had a lap of just insane battling. And we're going to do it all over again, Jesse.
Luca Filippi super aggressive on that lap, diving down the inside 3 wide, but makes it work, makes it look good, gets up inside the top 10 there. Harry Conway's also made it work somehow as they're continuing to work. They're going to be 3 wide again. Kevin Boss nearly punted off of the racetrack. Conway up the outside, the 9 car of Filippi continuing to profit, and Conway just following Luca through. Boss is going to free fall through the field a little bit. Sundstrom gets through. Adamczyk is also going to get through. Peter Roche continuing to lead this race by 1 second over Valak, who has somehow come from completely dead last to P2 and has just set the quickest lap of the race. It's a 1 minute 10.118. That's a tenth or so quicker, and it's a huge crash. There's got to have been a huge crash. Dauber, Sundstrom, Adamczyk, and Boss have all been involved in a major incident up at turn number 6. They were all racing together, and it's all come undone. The yellow car in your picture gets into the nearly on pace car. Nearly on pace car spins into Kevin Boss's 31, and Joe Dauber has nowhere to go, and that is how it has crumbled as Mikael Sundstrom has gone from racing for glory to not having a front bumper on that MX5. That car is crunched. Oh no, Daly and Valak have had an incident. Daly and Valak have had an incident racing for P2. Benjamin Heilmans has been promoted to P2 right now. What's happened between these two? Oh, and it's another pit maneuver, and that has taken your race winner from round 1 and spun them around. They're going to end up about 9th or 10th now, and that, after all that good work to get to P2, the fastest car has been sent back to 9th place. Heilman in 2nd now, Daly up to 3rd.
That's again another pit maneuver which we've seen so many times here at this race. That's a really that must be. Surely that can't be a normal. That must be a disconnection or a fault on the steering wheel, because that definitely did not seem normal.
That suspension, it could have broke or something and just went straight into the wall. I will say he didn't attempt to brake and save it, so I wonder if that was a little bit of frustration there as well.
Possibly. But if I had a penny, if I had a penny for every pit maneuver we saw here today, I wouldn't have been rich, but I would probably have 12 pennies.
We'd be able to go out for dinner tonight. I tell you that right now. You and me, we could eat like kings.
Yeah, indeed. Probably going to the KFC or something. But Felipe is now trying to overtake Conway there in the Mazda as their bumper to almost bumper to bumper, and now Felipe probably tries to send it down the inside going into the next corner, or does he go to the outside? Which one is it? He doesn't choose anything. He likes to stay behind and maybe just work with Conway together to get closer to that front group, because that's really smart racing actually, because we've seen in the last race that it's really easy to catch up to P1, especially if you have a group in front of you battling. So what Felipe is doing now is actually very smart. See if Conway thinks the same when they approach Barrett, but we might see these two guys in the front very soon.
Yeah, a couple of things to note here is that obviously Kevin Boss has had an incident in turn 3. This is a lap ago. And he actually lost it in turn 2, but slid all the way into turn 3. That'd be a pretty cool reverse entry almost if you were in a drift competition, but not so much here today, as that car, those tires cannot be too happy. But what I was going to say is obvious is obvious. Joe Dauber, who his tires were not connected to the front of that car, has DNF'd. They'll join Billy Octane and Dozal. Kamferger is towing back to the pit lane after a recent incident they've had. So we've had 3 DNFs thus far, and 1 car who is sitting in the pit lane. Everybody else is still circulating, but they are a couple of cars that are many laps down. Or no, there's actually 1 car that is a lap down currently. The lap thing that you see in the middle, the L2, L1, L8, that's what lap they last pitted on, not how many laps down they are. We got fooled by that during the IMSA series. Oh, it's going to go wrong here on the front straight, fighting over space. Harry Conway pinching Luca Filippi there, and that was very nearly absolute Armageddon. That would have been a huge crash if they would have hit the wall and spun back in front of the field, but they get it sorted out as Conway has made it around Luca Filippi at some point. They were reversed a few laps ago. So Conway up to P7. Roche is now down to P2. We've missed Benjamin Heilman. Benny up into the lead of the race. The 796 leading them around in the Speed Salad Mazda. And Roche now under fire from Daly and Jaroslav Roth.
If that would have been a successful pit maneuver, I would have upgraded myself to 2 chicken wings. Anyways, oh, that's another battle for the lead. Oh, and there's contact between Roche and Helmut. Oh, and there's even more contact between Daly and Roth there. Roth in the wall in the big Mazda MX5. His race isn't over. Does he have a lot of damage? We'll see a replay here. Daly goes absurdly wide, and then Roth almost misjudges the space, or just another pit maneuver we've seen like so many times here in these 2 races, and it's almost, these incidents are almost waiting to happen now. We've had a successful first race really, because we didn't see so many incidents in the first race. Benjamin Helman is now getting attacked by Lorenk, who tries to go around the outside, thinks better of it, tries to cut it back, maybe goes down the inside. Benjamin Helman in turn 3, and it's a wild send, and he's probably going to make it as well, but Benjamin Helman is still on the inside there, and Lorenk still has to give room, and that's an amazing send by Lorenk, but Benjamin Helman is still there for competition.
How on earth did the Czech driver Martin Lawrence get that car broke into the zone and not overrun the corner? Of course, another Czech driver, maybe some more ice water in the veins. They just build them different in the Czech Republic, I guess, because Martin Lawrence is going to go all the way to the lead here. Martin Lawrence clears Benjamin Heilman and into the lead on a different day. These 2 drivers might have been teammates. They're not teammates here today. Here comes Peter Roche fighting back on the inside. Has position for a moment on Heilman. gets loose over the curb into the clutches of Jordan Daly in the 197. Daly down to the inside, but here is Martin Lawrence leading Heilman. Heilman closing in, using the slipstream that's very real in these cars down this straightaway. This might as well be a super speedway after all. Heilman down to the inside in the speed salad car. Room afforded to him by not Mikhail Sunders, that's Martin Lawrence. Different country, different man, same kind of determination, and he's gone back to the lead, has Benjamin Heilman.
The German driver absolutely nailing it on that car position, and so he is back in P1. But for how long is the question? We have 11 minutes and 45 seconds to go, and this race is not over. The result is definitely not there yet, because Lorenk is right at the back of Benjamin Heilman again, and there are two cars behind who'd like to have a taste of that P2 position. Jordan Daly and Peter Roche as well. Peter Roche may be trying to attack Jordan Daly in the near future, given he's 0.1 seconds behind the British driver. But here comes Lorenk, the Czech again, trying to attack the German driver in P1, and we're going to do it all over again, like we did last lap, like we did the lap before, and like we did that before. And there's Lorenk again using the side slipstream to overtake Benjamin Heilman again, coming into turn 1 here. That's flat out, but you have to make sure you'll get a good braking zone into turn 2 here. But Benjamin Heilman has the inside. Can Lorenk send it down the outside? Jordan Daly tries to nip in his bonnet, but just can't quite get enough, can't get the good exit, and Jesse is all kicking off again.
It really is. It's very close. Joe Dauber is coming to chat to vent his frustration, and I can't do anything but agree with him and commiserate with Joe Dauber here today. It's been a frustrating 2 races for the opening round here at Navarra in northern Spain. But up here at the front, it has been fast and furious action. It might even be too fast, too furious up here, as it's going to be 3 wide as they're leaning on each other, getting into turn number 6. Harry Conway up inside the top 5, still fighting off race 1 winner Valek. Luca Filippi, Parrott in tow, Theobald Roscom all into this group. Valek down the inside. Conway should have the best run, and he does. A little bit of contact there. That will throw Valek to the wolves. Here comes Luca Filippi. Here comes Joshua Parrott, who are all fighting over that spot. And in the front of shot, single file for the top 4, just trying to get away just a little bit. They were all running 1-minute 10s at the start of this race. They're all over each other. They're running mid 111s now. They're slowing themselves down by 1.5 seconds a lap, fighting each other this hard. Harry Conway holding on to the inside position here. That might be good, that might be bad. Here comes the 9 of Luca Filippi looking to the outside. Conway holds up again, stays inside the top 5, but he's got a bumper full of Valek.
Yeah, and it's absolutely robbing is racing, as they say. As you see another rob from Valek there on the side of Conway. He needs to do it on the outside again, but there's Filippi who's trying to make it 3 wide into turn 5. That is 3 wide. And there goes Valek, who just loses that position, I think, to Conway. And they're side by side, 3 wide, going into the next corner again. And Conway is again trying to desperately hold that position off from Valek. But coming out of the next corner, Valek will have to slipstream and possibly attempt a move for P5. It's almost like we're fighting for P1. Again, Valek is fighting for P5 in this instant, and he has the inside coming into turn 1, and he almost already has the position from Conway, which is remarkable to see, given there's not a huge speed difference in the Masters MX5. And so Valek is up to P5, but it's all kicking off behind him as Filippi is losing a few positions. Rod is trying to gain a few positions. Again, he was in an incident with Jordan Daly, but now back up into P10, back with these group fighting over P6 and P5. And of course, the fight for P1 still continues with Lorenk on the outside, Benjamin Heilman on the inside of these, well, what lap is it? With 7 minutes and 50 seconds to go. It's all kicking off here again as we see Russia trying to overtake Jordan Daly for the 3rd spot there. Jordan Daly on the inside, Russia on the outside, again having the better exit, and that's Jordan Daly going around into the barrier.
Did he make it to the wall? I'm not sure, but he's got to be careful on this rejoin. Everybody else scatters. What happened to Jordan Daly here? He's over the curb a little bit. He's trying to stay off of the one car of Peter Roche and just loops it there, and that costs him a lot. This was a scary moment right here as I think that was Roth that took a little bit of avoiding action right there. If you're, that's got to be Fabian Schmidberger's favorite car, by the way, the Fisker or the Frisky's car. Martin Lawrence has had an incident. You've seen it. Well. Martin Lawrence has had an incident. I think Harry Conway's been involved. I think Ted Edwards has just got involved, and I think this is going to be collateral damage. This is fighting over the lead. Martin Lawrence, maybe a little bit of a tap with Benjamin Heilman. The 171 spins the car around, tries to rejoin the racetrack, and behind them it's chaos. It looks like the Hooters car has spun around Ted Edwards or Harry Conway. Yes, Valek spun around the Harry Conway car. Now, was that in avoidance of the 171 of Lawrence rejoining? Oh my goodness, and Ted Edwards also got spun around. Absolute bedlam here in the north of Spain.
We just can't get the rest here of these Mazda MX5 that was spinning around there as there was a lot of chaos in front of him. He just couldn't quite manage to gain some positions because he spun the Mazda MX5 around himself. So now he finds himself in no man's land in P16, and Valek is trying to make up for that reverse grid spot, and he now is currently again in P5, trying to overtake P4 and P3, but currently Philippe is in P3, Parrot is in P4, and he very wise doesn't attack Felipe, maybe trying to break away from the guys behind, but that's nearly impossible with the strength of the slipstream we have here today. The gap to P2 is a remarkable 6.5 seconds, so I don't think that will be close here today, but that's Valek trying to send one down the inside of the last corner, maybe even trying to overtake Felipe. That's a very slow exit, a very slow mid-corner speed there for Valek, and that results in him not gaining a position, but Loring probably losing a position to Roth there. He stays in front of Roth there. Valek in any case currently still in P5, and so the battle continues here between P5 as we see a race replay. That's the purple car, and that's who is that? Jordan Daly, Ted Edwards?
It's hard to say which one of the RV cars it was, but the About Roscom does go into the door and spawn around. So easy to do whenever you're in a tight radius like that. So Roscom down to 13. Here is Jersey Jaroslav Roth now continuing to go around the Liska's car. And by the way, the back of Roth's car does not say Mazda, it says Miazda, I believe is what the back of that car says. So very cute, very funny indeed. Not funny for Jersey's race today. Would like to have been a little bit further up, probably should have been in their eyes, but they're racing for a decent enough spot here. Got to keep their cool. There it is, Miazda indeed on the back of the Wiska's Miazda MX5 car there. A fan favorite of the Schmidberger feline for sure. Final couple of minutes here, 4 minutes left in this race. A fight still on for the lead between Heilman and Roche. New players up at the front. It's Roche, Felipe, and Valek with Parrot and Lawrence all in tow. The top six are all back to, excuse me, not the top six, the top two are together, and then behind them the next four are all together fighting over that third place, last podium spot here in this race. Still in doubt, all of these positions. And earlier we noted how Valek just drove around Harry Conway in the front straight. First of all, I think Valek just had a better turn 8, and on top of that, Harry Conway is carrying nose damage, and it won't be a lot of a difference in a Mazda MX-5, but it will be a quantifiable amount, and I think that also has been to the detriment. But considering there's cars out there like Mikael Sundstrom, for instance, who doesn't have a front end, you can tell it's not a ton, but it is some.
I was just about to say, Harry Conway has a bad front end. Look at the car of Mikael Sundstrom.
I can see that it's got a radiator. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's like a broken rally car you see on your first rally stage in the new WRC game. A radiator just about not broken, but Harry Conway trying to overtake the not so streamlined Mazda MX-5 of Mikael Sundstrom, and there was almost contact like we saw with many pit maneuvers here today. today, which would upgrade me to probably 2 new
Look
hot
at the teammates.
But yeah, you need teammates, bump drafting each other again, and so Harry Conway will probably be screaming in his helmet.
That's not fair.
Bump draft me. That's not fair. You're overtaking me while I have the deficit of the speed. But look at him go around the outside. Can he keep the positions?
Oh no, he spun him!
Yes, two teammates collide. Manson and Sundstrom collide, and that's the race in tears for Sundstrom.
Let's see here. Nearly on pace, team. Is it contact? You bet it is. And man, nearly on pace, nearly out of parts over there at the 899 camp, I think, is what's going on there. They're going to need a front end, a rear end. They're going to need to repair some feelings after this. It's just an incident. If you're going to hit somebody, most of the time you want it to be your teammate because they're the most likely to understand that, hey, it was just an accident, it's close quarters racing, and a lot of the incidents today have been exactly that. Well, for PSUK, they're trying to get one step closer to a podium here by taking a spot from Martin Lawrence. Joshua Parrott trying to do it the long way around. We saw Martin Lawrence do this to great effect earlier on in the race, but it looks like Martin in the blue car on the right-hand side is going to just be able to out-drag them down the front straight here, but Parrott very much looking racy. Peter Roche is very quiet up in P2 right now, just biding his time with a minute to go and probably a lap and a half left in this race. Here is the #1 car, that blue car of Peter Roche, just hanging out behind the speed salad Mazda of Benjamin Heilman, just sizing up the competition a little bit here, Dan.
Yeah, and this is exactly what we were talking about before this race started here, because possibly you want to be in P2 at the beginning of the very last lap. Given you have the slipstream, you will carry enough momentum into T1, T2 to maybe pull out or pull off a move, and that's exactly what Peter Roche here can do. No attack from behind. He only has to look to Benjamin Hellman in front, and can he overtake again on the last lap? White flag on the outside goes Peter Roche trying to overtake Benjamin Hellman. Maybe a bit too early because he just can't get a move into turn 3, and this is crucial for Benjamin Hellman. His chances of winning this race could just increase massively, but it's not over yet, as Peter Roche still has the very valuable slipstream coming into turn 5 here, and now all the way into turn 6 we go, and see if Peter Roche can overtake the car of Benjamin Hellman. Benjamin Hellman places it on the inside, so Peter Roche needs to try it on the outside. Maybe the switchback. Can he do the switchback? No.
Oh, close
from Benjamin Hellman, the defense there, Jesse.
Don't worry about that. That's just netcode Peter Roche coming in and out of existence, but he's still in this race. And it's going to be difficult for Heilman because Heilman sees that car blinking too. But can Heilman do it? One more turn left to go. He doesn't want to get run on, and it looks like Heilman had the better run off the corner. And in race number 2, it's going to be Benjamin Heilman winning the race out of absolutely nowhere. He got sent down the order in race number 1, but he gets it done in 2. Peter Roche second, and Jiri Valek comes all the way from 21st to put it back on the podium, and somehow Martin Lawrence got by Joshua Parrott, or kept Joshua Parrott behind them for 4th place. 6th place, Luca Filippi, Roth, Daly, Conway Rowe. The top 10, Mikhail Sundstrom and Albin Manson has allowed Mikhail to go back by, I assume as an apology for the incident a lap or 2 ago. Theobald Roska, Madamchik, Matcha, Edwards, Kevin Boss coming to the line, and those will be your finishers here today, as I believe Dahlberg, Camperger, Octane, and Dazal have all retired from today's race. So Jiri Valek wins race number 1. Benjamin Heilman wins round number 2. Holy cow, what a day of racing we've had here today. Let's do it again. Let's do it again next week. Dan, what are you doing next Wednesday?
Commentating next Wednesday on next race of the Mazda MX5 Cup Championship on November 6th. We're going to drive on none other track than a favorite British track, at least one of my favorites, Snetterton. Lovely, a short track, a track where you can just go wheel to wheel just as much as we saw today. It's going to be awesome, it's going to be epic, and maybe it's going to cause more chaos than this race here today.
That's right. A little less than 7 days from now, we'll be back live for round number 2. Same format, 2 30-minute races at Snetterton. And the interesting thing about Navarra here is that the Snetterton track races a lot like this, so that's either good or bad, depending on how you feel. A couple of really nice straights, the Bentley straight, also the pit straight as well. You get some nice drafts, some interesting braking zones, some tight technical sections as well. It should be a fantastic race. I'm going to try and grab at least one of our race winners in here for an interview, because I would quite like to talk to one of them here today and get their firsthand opinion of what it was like out there. It looked chaotic. It looked great. There's days in racing done where I'm happy I'm up here in the booth. Today, though, I wanted to be down there on that racetrack. That looked incredible.
I was thinking about it in the race. It'd be truly. I wonder where I would be in this race right now at some stage here in the second race.
I know where I would be, but I still want to be out there, even though I'm last.
Yeah, I mean, racing, especially in these Mazda MX5s, it's fun. It's constant adrenaline. It's constant action, and that is getting the action, the adrenaline is getting pumped in lap after lap after lap, corner after corner, because there's so much going on. You have to look in your rear mirror, you have to look in front of you, you have to look beside you, to the left, to the right, to behind. Everything is kicking off, and of course we saw a lot of contact. Yes, we saw a lot of pit maneuvers. I can probably buy out the whole KFC by now, but
I'm getting a 3-piece myself. I don't know about you, partner, but Ash, you and me, we're going to go get like a 3-piece. Ash wants a bucket. There's a lot of contact here. There's a lot of drivers that are going to have some things to answer to. And as calm as Porsche Cup and ACC was relatively on Monday with 40-plus cars, today was absolute chaos with half that number, but that is the nature of Cup racing. Speaking of which, we'll see you again, our next live broadcast here on RCI TV on Monday, round number 2 of the Porsche Cup Championship in ACC. Round number 1 was absolutely bonkers in the best possible way. Not a lot of incidents in the grand scheme of things, not a lot of incidents that required penalization. Today, though, based on what the drivers report, Dan, I think there is a lot of stewarding that could be done if it is reported.
I think we could all agree which role no one would take upon here today, which is stewarding, because they'll probably be putting an all-nighter with these incidents. It's a lot has happened today, and I'm already feeling sorry for them next race.
Yeah, next race, of course, Snetterton in November the 6th. We'll be live here with Ash Bibby behind the cameras. Ash, it's so good. I know they can't hear you, but it's so good to have you back. This just feels normal. It feels like you ever put on, this is the same thing. I was talking to my partner about this. You know that favorite sweater you have that you can't wait to put on when it gets a little chillier out there, relevant because it is that time of year, and you just love it. It feels comfortable. It feels like home. That's what it feels like having you back. You too, Dan. Back in the booth. It's just been brilliant today. What an excellent couple of races we had. Next live broadcast, of course, Monday, Porsche Cup. We'll be back with you on Wednesday. Don't forget, the 6-hour community series runs this weekend. You can join that at any time that you would like. Grab a couple of friends and enjoy that. The esports series in a week and a half's time from now. But on behalf of everybody here at RCI, the admins, the stewards, broadcast team, the event managers, thank you all so much for watching iRacing here on RCI TV. I've been Jesse Lee, joined by the great Dan Van Zutphen, Ash, the legend Bibby behind the cameras. We'll see you next week for more Mazda Cup. And until then, have a good night.
Buenas noches.